Hello, welcome back. It is Monday, June 10th, 2024, and it's time to talk about the weather again. Things have been relatively quiet for the past little bit, but we've got some weather coming up that I want to talk to you about. Right now, this morning, as I'm filming this video, things are once again relatively quiet out there. It's been a very active severe weather season, so there hasn't really been a quiet period, but this is about as good as it gets. It's a little cool over here around the Great Lakes in the upper Midwest over towards the Northeast because we've got this little bit of a trough that's bringing some cooler than average temperatures to a lot of us, but it probably doesn't feel cool to most of you. But things are about to change big time. And as that change happens, there's going to be some reaction in the atmosphere in the form of thunderstorms. Starting today, we've got a slight risk of severe weather in Colorado, South Dakota, northwestern portions of Nebraska. We've got a slight risk of severe weather in Texas as well, and a little bitty tiny one over there in extreme southern portions of South Carolina and southeastern Georgia. Now, as we go deeper into the future, Wednesday, we've got a slight risk of severe weather up here in Michigan, down through Minnesota, Iowa, portions of South Dakota and Nebraska as well. This looks like a little bit more of a significant severe weather threat, and that carries over into Thursday as well, where we have a day 4 slight risk of severe weather that includes Detroit, Chicago, all the way back down through Kansas City. Now, we can't see quite that far out just yet, but this is what our simulated radar looks like as we go through the day today. We are going to see some of those storms over here in the plains and the high plains, especially off the Front Range. Some areas of interest include Texas over here south of the Panhandle, and of course over here in Nebraska and South Dakota where we've got that slight risk of severe weather. These are mostly going to be hail producers and maybe a couple of wind bags in there. Tornado threat looks pretty low. Pretty interesting severe weather threat down here though. I think the main threat with these storms is going to be the wind and the extremely heavy rain. We're going to have torrential downpours down here in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida even tonight. In Florida, it's not going to stop really anytime soon. You guys are going to have a really interesting pattern down here. We'll watch that every day. We're going to have a pretty significant chance of some afternoon thunderstorms, but these look like they're going to be pretty powerful, mostly in terms of the amount of moisture they're going to carry with them. Now, let's look at the upper air pattern and go farther into the future. Okay, once again, this is the pattern that we're in right now. We're about to experience a roller coaster of changes because, like I said, it's a little cool right now over here. It's quite warm in portions of the western U.S., but things are literally going to do a complete 180 here at some point. And once again, the transition period there is going to be quite active in as far as severe weather goes. If I push this forward, you can see here that the ridge is trying to get quite a bit more pronounced here in the southwest, leading to warmer temperatures over here in the desert southwest. We still have quite a significant trough over here in the northeast on Tuesday, June 11th. This is going to lead to some cooler weather up there in New York, up through Maine. And then notice how we've got this interaction between this trough here and also a more clockwise rotation down here in the Caribbean that's leading to an onshore flow from west to east in Florida. This is going to continue to kind of focus the heavy rain in the Florida area over the next several days. But I really want you to watch that ridge in the west, okay? It gets really pronounced here as we go into Thursday, and we get a really enhanced jet streak here over the northern plains. And this is where that severe weather threat really starts to ramp up once again on Wednesday and Thursday. We expect that this flow is going to allow for warmer air to really kind of ram into some of the cooler air that's been compiling over here around the Great Lakes, and that's going to lead to some sort of maybe even long track severe weather system in the form of a squall line. So I think this is going to be a big damaging wind event Wednesday into Thursday, and we actually might see a couple of those as this pattern is going to persist here as we go through Friday as well. Once again, any storm system that forms up here is going to be able to slide down the eastern side of this ridge and cause severe weather in this area and maybe even lots of rain once again as we go through Friday, maybe even Saturday as well. But look at what happens as we go deeper into the weekend into early next week. The slide goes away and the ridge actually starts to become the main player in the east. We get a little bit more troughing in the west. So this is literally the opposite of how we're starting this week. We're going to be starting next week off completely in the opposite direction. We're going to have warm air in the east, big ridge here, maybe even a little bit of a heat wave trying to happen over here in the east, and then cool air back here in the west. And once again, if I pull this back to where we are right now, it's the complete opposite. So in the interim, we're going to have lots of unsettled weather, especially up there in the northern plains and even down there into portions of Florida as well. But I think what's really interesting here is going to be the impacts of this ridge as we go deeper into the middle of June. First of all, the period of activity is going to be quite evident here on our lightning strikes tracker as we go deeper into the week, into the weekend. Just look at that. We're going to have obviously a big squall line here Wednesday into Thursday. This is quite visible here on the Euro model from the Institute instantaneous flash tracker that allows us to see where lightning strikes might be, and this shows us where storms will probably be. But, we're going to have a couple systems like this thanks to that slip and slide kind of pattern here. But also pay attention to Florida. We're going to have tons of activity in Florida. Just look at that. It doesn't stop. It's just every day, tons of thunderstorms over and over and over again. This is going to lead to a pretty significant flash flooding risk down there in Florida. Because this is happening right now, because this is happening in June, this is a pretty big indicator of how active our tropical season is going to be, because we have so many thunderstorms forming down here in this very warm water. All we need is some sort of organization, and that's going to turn into a potential tropical system. And thankfully, that's not happening right now, according to this model, but it could happen in the future if this level of activity continues. Notice how we continue to see these storms all the way through the weekend. And then as we go into next week, things get a little bit quieter, but kind of focus once again back up here. So instead of seeing storms racing down this way, like we will this week, next week, we're probably going to see like the opposite situation where they're racing up this way. Still, the target area is going to be up here. Take a look at these temperature anomalies. The blue and the green is where it's cooler than average. The red's where it's hotter than average. This is tomorrow. Let's go to the beginning of next week and let me show you how different things are going to be. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, boom, heat wave, 10 to 20 degrees above average for most of us here in the eastern U.S. and even over here on the high plains, quite a bit warmer than average as well. Some places might be 30 degrees above average, and that is 30 degrees below average back here in the Pacific Northwest. So it will definitely feel cool back there as we go into Sunday and Monday. Oh my goodness, it's a significant heat wave around the Great Lakes. So if this ends up happening this way, we're definitely going to feel it. It's going to be a significant heat situation for us in the Northeast on Tuesday. But of course, this can change. This is preliminary right now, but I do think that next week we're going to have a wave of heat move across the central and eastern United States. I'm not the only one saying this. If you don't trust me, trust the experts over there at the Climate Prediction Center. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, much above average over here, especially in the Ohio Valley, which is where this ridge is going to spend the most time before it exits. And then as far as rainfall goes, we're not expecting much at all over here in an area that's been hit hard by severe weather this year, which is good. We're going to have a break, but the heat's going to come along with that. We're also not going to expect much rain at all in California or even Arizona. These areas are going to be pretty much dry for the next week. Lots of rain and storms possible up here in our intersection between our slip and slide pattern that's going to be going this way this week and this way next week. And then obviously the bullseye is going to be the tropical activity down here in Florida. Some places down here are going to get 10 to 15 inches of rain. So that will lead to maybe some significant flash flooding. So if you live in a flood prone area down there in Florida, make sure you are aware of what's going on and don't be scared, be prepared. And that's pretty much all the weather I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. As new updates come out, I will have new videos. Things have been kind of quiet. I do plan on making several updates over the next several days as we continue to watch this situation in Florida and with our potential big severe weather systems up in the north. And then I think we're going to dive right into hurricane season, man. I think this is going to be a really active one. So make sure you're subscribed and you've got those notifications on so you never miss a video or a live stream, which of course we will be doing in the event of a significant severe weather outbreak or of course our next tropical landfall. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Ooh.